Guys and girls, this is Wager Detective here, May 16th, 2027. We're going to get into this cap between the Blue Jays and the Tigers. Yesterday, Wager Detective, surprisingly enough, 0-2 on the Wager Detective reports. We had the Pirates, and then we had the Orioles to win. The funny thing was, with the Pirates game, they were winning that game until all of a sudden they weren't. The Phillies scored 6 runs in like the last 4 innings. In those situations, guys, when you have a lead like that, the possibility of a team coming back and wins always there. You were in a position to, at the very least, hedge that bet or get something out of it in case something wild does happen. That's one of Wager Detective's techniques. I don't always use it because when you're winning, you just feel like it's never going to happen. The comeback's never going to happen. But when you could have got the Phillies plus 7, 8, 900 plus 1,000, does it hurt if you bet? Let's say you bet 200 on the game. Is it going to get? Let's say you bet 238 to get 2 back. Now, when the Phillies were plus maybe 8, 900, does it hurt you to put? You're going to make 200. Does it hurt you to put $20 on a plus 8, 900 to make 160 to knock off some of that? You're still coming away with 180 if the comeback doesn't happen. But if it does, you've protected a large portion of that. Now we're going to get into the Orioles game, guys, folks. Listen to me. Baseball has to change this. We have to run down on their offices, whatever you got to do to make this happen. I want the baseballs on the field coming out of the same box for both teams. I don't know where the baseballs are coming from, the dugout, this, that, the other, but there was 5 or 6 balls that were hit to the warning track that were right on the wall. One of them, folks, the left fielder went back. He thought the ball was gone. The guy in the bullpen, if you isolate and look at the guy he's ready to catch the ball. Not only did it not land on the warning track or get close to the wall, the left fielder had to come in like 6, 7 feet. There was no wind yesterday blowing the wind in. If anything, the ball was blowing out. Every other ball that was hit to the warning track landed right on the wall. You could take whatever you want, and I'm suggesting and implying something here that I've said many, many times before in sports. With that, just leave the baseballs on the field, all coming out of the same box. All coming out of the same box, filtered in. They get fouled out of play, they get thrown in the dirt, and we're going to leave it there. And guess what? You're listening to this Major League Baseball. I'm not stopping with these reports. Nothing's going to stop me from keep posting these. So do what you got to do. Funny shit happens, we're going to have a problem. Major League Baseball, we'll put you in the dump like like they did with the NBA. Okay, nobody's betting on NBA during the regular season. Maybe now they are. They're getting some of that money back, but we turn the lights out on that. So let's get into this cap. The Toronto Blue Jays versus the Detroit Tigers. Now, the Tigers on the year, the Blue Jays on the year, they're 19-25. They're 3-7 in their last 10. The Blue Jays are 6-14 on the road this year. They're 3-8 in one-run games, 5-9 versus the Central overall this year, and they're 13-20 versus right-handed pitching. Something to keep an eye on there. Now, this is a day game, so the Blue Jays, they're 2-7 in their road day games this year. 5 over, 4 under, that 8.5 that is set. The scores in those games, 3.88 for the Blue Jays to 4.22 for the Tigers. Comes out to an 8.10. You're probably saying to yourself, why is 5 of those games going over? There was probably a couple lopsided games where one team was scoring and the other one wasn't. So Blue Jays 2-7 in the road day games this year. The Blue Jays are 3-6 in their last 9, 3 over, 6 under. They're scoring 4.22 runs per game to 3.88 for their opponents, and that is a little skewed because one of the games they did win 14-1 in there, so that 4.22 to 3.88 is a little skewed. The Blue Jays are 2-5 versus the Central this year on the road, 4 over, 3 under. They are scoring 4.14 runs per game to 4.57 for their opponents in the AL Central on the road this year, and the combined score comes out to 8.71 runs per game in that 2-5 record for the Blue Jays on the road versus the AL Central. Now, if we look at the Blue Jays are 8-7 their last 15 at Detroit. Average score 5.66 to 3.6 runs per game. That's pretty telling right there, right? Blue Jays 8-7 in their last 15 at the Tigers, 5.66 runs per game to 3.6. Now, if we isolate it to the last 9, they are 4-5 their last 9 at the Tigers, but they're still scoring a lot. Their last 9 at the Tigers, they're scoring 5.77 runs per game to 4.77. That comes out to 10.54 runs per game. and they're scoring 52. They've scored 52 runs to 43 for the Tigers in their last 9 at the Tigers. Now, road day at the Tigers, not really good. They're 2-5 their last 7 road day games at the Tigers, scoring 3.85 runs per game to 4.85. Comes out to 8.7 runs per game. They have been held to 1 run or less 3 times in their last 7 road day games at Detroit. Now, it gets a little tricky here. On the mound, Fluharty is going to start, but the primary is going to be Spencer Miles. Fluharty this year in his last 5 outings in relief, 3 innings pitched, 0 earned runs, 2 hits, 0 bases on balls. Not bad, right? And he has 3 Ks, so pretty good there. And the primary pitcher is going to be Spencer Miles. He is a left-handed pitcher. I want to see something real quick that maybe I didn't take a look at here. Let's go here. Did we do this? No. Oh man, let's just keep it here, I guess. Where are we at? Let's go back to this. Spencer Miles is going to be the primary pitcher here. In his last 5 outings, he's another relief guy, so it's a bullpen day for them. Spencer Miles, his last 5 outings, has 9.1 innings pitched, has given up 7 hits, 3 earned runs, 1 walk, and 8 Ks. He does have 1 game start this year in those last 5. 3 innings pitched, has given up 0 earned runs, but they did lose that game to the Angels 1-6. So he's not giving up any earned runs. In his 9.1 innings pitched in his 5 outings in relief, 7 hits, 3 earned runs, 1 walk, 8 Ks. So pretty solid there. Not much to glean there. I think what we get from the Cap so far, the Blue Jays not good on the road this year, 6-14. They're 3-8 in 1-run games, which tells me, and their last 2 games they've lost on walk-off games. So it just sounds like to me, if the Blue Jays are going to win, it's going to have to be by more than 1.5 runs. They're going to have to come out and smoke teams. And you look at some of these games, their last 15 at the Tigers, they've won games by the score of 10-1, 6-0, 12-2, 9-1, 11-4, 6-2, 6-1. When they've lost, games have gotten a little sticky. They're losing 0-2 in one of the games, 2-6, 1-2, 11-14. So a lot of high-scoring games in the bunch there. But so that's something to keep in mind. They're 6-14 on the road, 3-8 in 1-run games this year. They're 5-9 versus the Central. They're 13-20 versus right-handed pitching. But they get marginally better against the Blue Jays in their last 15 at them. But the Cap comes back to the Tigers because the Blue Jays are 2-5 in their last 7. I think the thing that could keep them in this game is the surprisingness of a bullpen day where you really don't have much to gleam off the pitching that you're going to be seeing. And these guys in the relief they've come in, they look like they're doing okay. Fluharty and Miles, maybe they could give you some early games where, as if the bullpen gets late, this might be a game where you look at the Blue Jays' first 5, to come out strong. So let's get into the Tigers part of this, Cap. The Tigers this year, they are 20-25 on the year. They're 2-8 in their last 10, but they are 13-6 in home games this year. They're 0-2 in extra inning games. They're 5-8 versus lefties this year, which they'll see in Spencer Miles. And they are 5-8 in 1-run games, and they're 3-5 versus the AL East. But it gets interesting here. The Tigers are 6-0 in home day games this year, 7.33 runs per game to 3.66. Those 6 home games where they're undefeated have come against Milwaukee, Kansas City Royals, Miami, and St. Louis. I think it's pretty impressive against the Milwaukee and St. Louis. Kansas City and Miami, I'm not really impressed. I think maybe Miami's probably in Kansas City are kind of on par with this lineup that the Blue Jays are throwing out, but I don't think either team has a guy like Vladimir Guerrero in their lineup. The Tigers, 2-7 in their last 9 games overall, 24 runs scored to 50 for their opponents, and they're scoring 2.66 runs per game over their last 9 to 5.55 for their opponents. So this is the interesting part of the Cap. If it is a high-scoring game, I do got to believe that, it could be a Blue Jays game. You're scoring 2.66 over your last 9 games to 5.55 for the Tigers opponents. That comes out to 8.21. Pretty interesting. They've given up 4+ runs 6 times in their last 9 games. The Tigers have scored 4+ only twice in their last 9 games. So they're 1-3 at home versus the AL East. They got swept by the Red Sox earlier this year, and they just beat the Blue Jays yesterday. So against the AL East this year, they're 1-3. They're scoring 2.5 runs per game to 5.25 for their opponents. Comes out to 7.75 runs per game. Now, Casey Mize is going to be on the mound. And he hasn't pitched since April 6th, so he's coming back from an injury. And it's interesting, some of the stats I found in these types of splits in those situations. Now, if we look at it, they are 2-3 in Casey Mize's last 5 starts, 1 over and 4 under. Okay, something to keep in mind on there. And in his last 5 starts, from his oldest start to his newest start, it's been a loss, win, and his last loss was his last outing. So, if a pattern, we're looking at pattern recognition, loss, win, loss, and now this game, it's going to be interesting to see. In his last 5 outings, Casey Mize, 25 innings pitched, 22 hits, 9 earned runs, 9 walks, and 26 Ks. And we're going to do his ERA. Let's do the ERA. Teaching moment from Wager Detective here. Okay, so 25 innings pitched, he's given up 9 earned runs. So we take that 9 we take 9 earned runs times 9 innings a game, that's 81, divided by 25.1 innings pitched is really 25.3 when you break it down. So he has a 3.20 ERA in his last 5 starts, okay? We have established that, the Tigers' last 9, they're giving up 5.55 runs per game. Their last 6 home day games, they're giving up 3.66, but they're scoring 7.33. That is the one stat here that you're looking at and saying, can they keep going? You're 6-0 in home day games this year, but yet the line, as we see, is only -112, right? So there's uncertainty there. You would think Casey Mize on the mound against a bullpen game, you're going to probably think that game should be a little higher. So are they welcoming Tigers money? Are the books welcoming Tigers money? Casey Mize, last 5, hasn't started since April 6th, 3.20 ERA, and he's pretty good, right? He's got 26 Ks and 25 innings pitched, which is about a 9 strikeouts per game average, right? Now, as we finish up this cap, I do want to let you know that when in the Casey Mize career, when he doesn't pitch in the regular 4, 5, 6 days rest, if it's anything longer, whether it's a 7-day rest, 8-day rest, 9-day rest, so on and so forth, the Tigers are 2-4 in that situation. But even though they're 2-4, they're scoring 6 runs a game to 4.66 for their opponents. But in team results, they are 2-4. So when they do lose, they are some high-scoring games, as we can see here. On a 9-day rest, they lost 5-8. On a 15-day rest for Mize, they lost 5-7. On a 60-day rest for Mize, they lost 5-7. 8-day rest, they beat Tampa Bay 4-3. On a 11-day rest, they beat Texas 14-0. And then they beat the White Sox so 1, 2, 3. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then they lost to the White Sox. But that was a 99-day rest. That was an opener. So the games that he does have that extended rest, when he does come back, the Tigers seem to score. The problem I have with that is Casey Mize, in his last 5 starts this year, he's pitched really good, 1 over, 4 under. And you're going against the bullpen day, right? You're going against guys that are just, and if we look at it, they're really not scoring a lot, the Blue Jays, over their last 9 games. They're only scoring 3 runs a game, whereas the Tigers, their last 9, they're scoring 2.66. This is a tough cap, right? If we're going to really look at it. I don't like the fact that the Blue Jays are 6-14 on the road this year. They're 3-8 in 1-run games. But you could also say about The Tigers, they're 2-8 in their last 10. They're 20-25 at home. They're 5-8 versus lefties, which they'll be seeing today in Spencer Miles. And they're 3-5 against the East, and they're also 5-8 in one-run games. So I think if a team wins here, it's definitely going to be by more than one run. I don't like the fact that the Blue Jays are 2-5 in their last 7. If I was going to call this game, I mean, I was going to say the Blue Jays got a shot here in this game. They've lost 2 games in a row in walk-offs. We've seen this earlier this year with a team where they just got beat. They were getting beat, and then they woke up. I like the Tigers, man. I like Casey Mize. He's coming off a little bit of a layoff, but he's shown in his last 5 starts, if he's pitching anything like he has been, it's going to be tough, man. Is it another under game? I mean, the last 9 for the Blue Jays, their last 9 games are overall 3 over, 6 under. Again, when does regression to the progression happen? You know, when does that work out? Does it work out here? Tigers, they're undefeated in home day games this year, 7.33 runs per game to 3.66. The Blue Jays are 2-5, their last 7 at the Tigers. I got to go with the Tigers here. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I think you're getting a good price. Casey Mize coming back, having a little time off. Hasn't pitched since April 6th. He's been out for like over a month. I think you come back here, and I think the trend and the pattern continues. You know, loss, win, loss, win, loss. Now he's coming back. He's had some time off. They score for him when he has extended layoffs from anywhere from 8 to 60 days rest. When he comes back, they're scoring runs. I'm going to take the Tigers here. I'm going to say the Tigers get it done. They find a way to get to these pitchers that are just bullpen guys, even though they look good. What are you going to do when you got to go more than an inning and a third? So you got 2 bullpen guys, and you're hoping that it could be good. What happens if that don't work? I'm going with the Tigers here. Give Wager Detective the Tigers to stay undefeated at home a day this year, to get back on track, to be good over their last 10, to get to 30% over their last 10, where they're 2-7 this year. You know, and I like the over as well. I think this game goes over. So that's Wager Detective's call here. He likes the Tigers, -112. Let's make sure that line is still what it is. Now that I'm not in the casino, I'm in my apartment. I should have no problem for this just lighting up right away. Seems like in the casinos, you get... So as we look here, -116. They're giving you plus money on the over. I think the Tigers get it done here. I'd like to see what the Tigers are, -1.5 as well. Because again, 1-run games, neither one of these teams are good. Tigers, let's see if we can get the -1.5. They're giving the Blue Jays the -1.5 there at +168, which is interesting, man. It really, really is. Like, I gotta, is it a reversal? I mean, they're expecting, with that line, it almost feels like me giving this prediction is kind of like, they want you to, they're looking for that. But how can I go against a team that's undefeated in home day games this year, against a team that's given up 4.06 runs per game in their last 9? Tigers are giving up 5.55 runs per game in their last 9. But they're also, the Tigers are giving up. Yeah, I think the stronger play here, we're going to go with this. Wager Detective is going to call the over here. I'm going to call the over. That's going to be my stronger play here on this game. Over 8.5. I don't care that they're giving you plus money. Good. Thank you very much. I'll take it. I know both pitchers haven't been pitching good. Both teams haven't been hitting the ball, but all my metrics that I'm looking at all lead to this game getting over. So that's the call here. Wager Detective calling. And what did we say the weather looks like here? Okay, so we have a 14 mile per hour right to left, 13% chance rain. The wind could mess things up, but listen, you hit line drives, the ball's doesn't get to go in the air. Listen, those balls that are hitting the air that are pulled by the wind, you could see maybe a couple drop balls that lead to innings. And, if we look at this, Spencer Miles, he's a righty. Why are they saying Flew Hardy. Okay, let me see something here because this cap is getting a little too long here, man. I do want to look at this. Da, da, let me see here. No, we're gonna call that, man. We're gonna call the over here. That's what Wager Detective is gonna do. I'm gonna call the over here. I expect both these teams to come out and get some runs. And if you get a 4-4 game, you already got the total. And I think we could be looking at that at some point. So that's the call here. Wager